A guy built an app that he was really proud of. It gained quick adoption, and he even stated that he didn't write one single line of code until the researchers looked at it and realized that he was missing one important setting. I've been doing this for 13 years, so for me, data privacy and protection is part of my nature, so I'll be asking AI those questions along the way. But the scary part is all these apps that are getting built, unless you ask specifically for the AI, it's not gonna just offer these production level guarantees that you really need in a production worthy app. I put together a checklist that has 8 items that should be checked every time you're putting something into production. And I'll be giving it at the end of the video, but the list is useless unless you really understand the key reasons of why this keeps happening. So stay with me. So this just isn't one guy that got unlucky. There's some statistics that say 1 in 9 of these apps actually expose their database keys right in the browser. It's a pretty common design pattern. And what nobody tells this crowd is that AI isn't going to ask these questions right out of the box. And in fact, when I was building my website and working with the AI, being a 13-year developer working in the space of personal information and having to protect data, I knew the right questions to ask, and it was kind of interesting to see how AI would be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea that we should probably have a dev test server and we shouldn't test in production. To me, that was just second nature. But when you're working with AI, that's one of the things that I learned kind of right out of the bat. That and protecting your user data, there are stories starting to circulate of some of these vibe coders starting to get sued because they're not protecting customer data correctly. So when I built my website, like I needed to capture people's emails, and I wanted to be able to capture statistics of how they're entering my web page and what pages they're jumping into, so I could kind of see some of the funnels coming in. But I made sure to build it in a way that was ethical. So I hash all their IP addresses, so I don't store IP addresses, and I don't store any more data than I actually need. And that was kind of baked into the product from the beginning. But coming back to this person here and this developer, here's what he said. He's like, he didn't write a single line of code. He just had a vision for the technical architecture, and that AI made it a reality. Well, it did make it a reality, and he didn't really know the real questions to ask. And I did put together an 8-part list that'll help anybody building apps of questions to ask. I'll be providing that at the end. But for right now, one of the main ones is this row-level security for Supabase that a lot of people are using. A lot of people aren't enabling it, and in fact, a lot of the demos or instructional videos that I watched as I was setting up my website, they just kind of glossed past this and said, "Oh, don't worry about RLS at this point." But that right there is what's the difference between building a demo and building a production level app. You don't want your secret keys on the front end, and you want to store the least amount of data possible. And those are just the first 3. Make sure you hang around for the rest of them, so you don't become one of these statistics where you're exposing people's emails and real names and a lot of their data. So I'm not saying everyone that's building apps or useful things needs to be a 13-year senior developer / architect. I'm just saying that they need to go into it with some of this knowledge and some of these checks, because we have really great tools now and people have great ideas, and it's the best time to innovate. And that's kind of what I'm here for right now. Is I I want to see where the space goes. I want to help people. And where I'm at right now is I'm willing to actually book some calls and spend some time with anybody that wants to learn this, no matter what stage you're at, from a very beginner to maybe you've done some things and you'd want someone to just kind of glance over your work. But yeah, so these are the 8 bullet points here, and make sure you hang around, because I'm going to talk about when I ran this against my production originally. It was interesting, the couple things that I did find. So right away, I did have row level security on, and I talked about some of the other security measures that I had in place. There was 2 small vulnerabilities when I do the double. So for someone to sign up for my newsletter, I do a double verification where they enter their email, and then they get the email, and then they have to acknowledge that that's a valid email. And I'm not going to send anything to them until they acknowledge that. So people can't just put anything in there, any email they want, and I'm going to start spamming people. You have to double opt in. That's just how I'm doing it, and to me, it's the ethical way. But one of the vulnerabilities that I had is, since I allow polls on my website, is I was actually exposing a little bit where a sophisticated hacker could inject some emails into my server. They wouldn't pass the double opt-in where I would start spamming people, luckily, but it could get if someone was malicious enough, it could fill my database, or could have filled up my database with a bunch of junk emails. And once I ran this 8-point checklist against it, the 2 small issues were identified, and they were fixed within 2 minutes. So I'm not saying that you need to be a security expert, just that you need to take it into account as you're working on these things. So there are new privacy laws coming to California and the EU. As you can imagine, as more of these apps are getting built and pushed out there, the regulatory framework is probably going to start coming down even more. So now's a great time to stay ahead and stay on the right side of things. So I'm curious, and comment down below like what you're building or what you would like to build. Or if you hate AI, just comment that AI sucks. But either way, check the comments. There should be a checklist there that'll help catch some of these big things. The next video is going to go into more ways to review before you push your work out to production. And a like gets the video out quicker. And I'll see you in part 2.